Thank you, you're awfully kind. Appreciate that a whole lot. Had a young lady come up to me about 25 years ago. She says, I wish you'd sing something I know so I can tell if you're any good or not. I designed my whole act around that. Like to sing another song that we hope you haven't heard. Watching the river roll by, watching the river roll by, watching the river roll by in the evening. Watching the river roll by, watching the river roll by, watching the river roll by in the evening. Watching the river roll by, watching the river roll by, watching the river roll by in the evening. Watching the river roll by, watching the river roll by, watching the river roll by in the evening. Now he was an old bachelor school teacher, and he lived all alone in a great big house, a great big white house on the riverbank at Clarington, Ohio. He was an old bachelor school teacher. Big old white house with a great big old double porch on it, looking out right at the Ohio River. His next door neighbor was a lady who was just his age, and they'd been knowing each other since they were 2 or 3 years old, maybe younger. They growed up together on the riverbank there in Clarington, Ohio, and they were both living in the houses they were brought up in, and also the houses that their parents were brought up in and their parents before them, back when Clarington, Ohio was called Sunfish. And they'd watch the river roll by, watching the river roll by. They was watching the river roll by in the evening. They was watching the river roll by, watching the river roll by, watching the river roll by in the evening. Now you have to remember this was in the 30s. Air conditioning wasn't fully developed yet. Those long, hot summer evenings, I used to like to sit out on the porch, watch the boats out on the Ohio River, and it'd get real hot. So he'd sit on his side of the porch in a great big old wicker chair,